Faith greater than fear. In Mark chapter 5, we see a great illustration of this. Mark chapter 5, verse 21, it says, "And when Jesus was passed over again by boat unto the other side, many people gathered unto him, and he was near the sea. And behold, there cometh one of the rulers of the synagogue, Jairus by name. And when he saw him, when he saw Jesus, he fell at his feet. He worshiped and besought Jesus greatly, saying, My little daughter lies at the point of death." So you can imagine the turmoil this man was going through. His daughter was at the point of death. She's about to die. He didn't have any other hope. He didn't know what else to do other than seek Jesus. This was his only hope. And he says, "I pray thee, come and lay your hands on her, that she may be healed, and she shall live." Wow, what a faith statement. What a powerful statement. He said, "I pray you, I'm asking you, I'm begging you, I'm beseeching you, come and lay your hands on her, and she will be healed, and she will live." He didn't say, "Well, come and try and we'll see what happens. Hopefully it'll work out," or "You never know what God's going to do," or "Perhaps God's sovereign plan is for my daughter to die," or "Maybe God's trying to teach me something." No, he didn't buy into any of that religious garbage. He said, "Pray, lay your hands on her, and she shall be healed, and she shall live." He wasn't wishy-washy. James said, "A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. Let not that man think he'll receive anything of the Lord." He didn't say, "Well, I don't know if it's your will to heal her or not. Maybe God sent this on her. Maybe God's taken her to heaven to be another flower in heaven. Maybe God has a purpose. Maybe God in his sovereign plan doesn't want me to have my daughter." No, no, no. That's all religious, stinking thinking, if I can just be blunt. The scriptures say God's will is healing. God's will is health. Jesus came that we might have life, have it more abundantly. The thief is the one who comes to steal, kill, and destroy. Every good gift, every perfect gift comes down from above, James tells us. So Jairus, even under the old covenant, had more Bible sense than a lot of New Testament believers do today. He said, "Come and lay your hands on her. She shall be healed, and she shall live." Well, what's Jesus' response? Does Jesus then say, "Well, you never know. It may not be God's will. Maybe God's trying to teach you a lesson. Maybe God's sovereignty, she needs to die. Maybe there's a greater good." Jesus didn't ever talk that way like religion does. What was Jesus' response? Notice verse 24. "And Jesus went with him." And Jesus went with him. He didn't question it. He didn't debate it. He didn't argue it. He didn't try and religiousize it, if that's a word. He just went with him. He said, "She needs healed. Here I come." Jesus went with him, and many people followed him and crowded him. And then as he's going to heal this little girl who's at the point of death, he gets interrupted. He gets sidetracked. A certain woman who had an issue of blood 12 years. Interesting, the daughter was 12 years old, and she had this issue 12 years. The amount of time this daughter was growing, this woman had suffered with this terrible infirmity. And she had an issue of blood 12 years and had suffered many things of many physicians, and had spent all that she had and was no better, but rather grew worse. So she was trying everything she could to get healed. She wasn't like some people, "Maybe it's not God's will." Well, maybe I take that back. Some people say that. Maybe it's not God's will, but yet they'll go to the doctor. They'll spend everything they have in order to try and get healed. And yet out of the other side of their mouth, they say, "Maybe it's not God's will." That is so ridiculous. So this doesn't even make sense. This woman wanted to get healed. She spent everything she had on many physicians, spent all that she had, and was no better, but rather grew worse. But notice something happened. Verse 27, when she had heard of Jesus, she came in the crowd behind and touched his garment, for she had been saying, the little Greek reads, she had been saying continuously, if I may touch but his clothes, I shall be whole. I shall be well. I shall be healed. She didn't doubt it. She didn't question it. She just said, if I can touch him, I'm going to be healed. She knew it was God's will. She knew this terrible sickness wasn't God's best, wasn't God's will for her. We're out of time. We'll take it up there tomorrow. See you then. Share this. God bless you.